a few people comment to me that they want to see more of me on here talking about my stuff and less about, money or general things. And yeah, so I'm going to talk about a very important thing to me today. And it applies to money, but it also applies to life in general. And I think it's important that we all really try our best to, you know, keep a positive frame of mind about things. So, my wife taught me this a long time ago, and she's amazing. And this is the thing she taught me. It's the expression is, "What can I do?" So there's always that dichotomy between being a victim or being proactive, right? And it's like, are you in control of your life? Do you take responsibility for your life, or are you at the mercy of the world, right? The other day, I was at Canadian Tire, and two young girls approached me and asked for my advice. I suppose because I look like a typical dad, they may have assumed I had some sort of insight into their dilemma. One of the girls had purchased a new bike. They were trying to figure out how they were going to get it home in their very small economy vehicle. I told them they'd probably have to take it apart or get a bike rack. There was no way it was going to fit inside that little puddle jumper. So I went inside the store, did my thing, and then when I came back out, they were still sitting there in their car. I was like, oh, they're obviously don't know what to do, right? And then I realized, well, my van was big enough to fit their bike in. So I knocked on the window and cheerfully offered to help them out. The look of terror on their faces said it all. They, oh no, we're fine. We have a solution. Thanks, anyways. Rolled up the window, and I get it. I appreciate the reason for their nervousness, and at the same time, I kind of feel sad that the world has become this way. In a scenario where I was just trying to be kind, my intentions were misconstrued as predatory and manipulative, or whatever they thought, right? So, I mean, what could we do about this, right? I could go on and on about how today's world has become so cynical that all conversations with anyone other than your inner circle are considered a sales pitch. As an example of this, I receive at least one or two scam phone calls, texts, or emails every day. No wonder we think everyone's out to get us. This kind of thing might lead you to believe that everybody's a thief. Our online, always connected world has brought us a ton of efficiency, connectivity and opportunity, but it has also created a whole new platform for grifters and con artists and criminals. The news outlets bombard us with bad news stories, meant to draw us in by their wild, sensationalist nature in order to get viewers, but they skew our perceptions of reality. I mean, in my experience, criminals and con men are the exception, not the rule. As Luke Bryan says in his song, most people are good. It's true. Most people are just trying to make ends meet and spend time with the people they love. It's sad that the corrupt minority are perpetuating the painting of all mankind with the same brush. It's natural for us to turn on our safety instincts, as that's what our primal brain is wired to do, to protect us from threats. The trouble is not everybody's a threat. In fact, very few people are threats. How can you tell who's a nice regular person, who's a wolf in sheep's clothing? I don't know the answer to this, but I have a few ideas to make a difference in how we act in the face of this negative paradigm. So be the person you want to be. Step number one, right? Don't let society's perceptions dictate who you are. Some people might say to themselves, oh, the world's a crappy place and everybody's out to get me. I might as well be untrustworthy myself so I can get my piece of the pie. Others will live in fear and avoid honest and genuine interactions with human beings because they don't trust anybody. But sticking with the theme of what can I do, you must, change your focus from reacting to the world, being a victim, and acting upon the world, which is basically being a hero. You always have control over what you think, what you feel, and what you do. If you understand this simple concept, you'll always have power. You don't exist in a vacuum. You're a part of the world. There's really no separation between you and your environment. You always have an effect on the world as long as you are alive. You must decide what effect you have, because you're unavoidably a piece of the whole of humanity. Your words and deeds speak for us all. If you think that people are evil, you can contradict that statement by your own nature. If you are a good person in a world of evil, then the statement that people are evil is logically not true. It can't be true, as you're a people and you're choosing not to be evil. So you are an equal part of the collective, same as everybody else. So what you put out into the world becomes a truth. Your existence creates reality as much as anybody. So you're actually defining the world you live in by the life you lead. I will continue to be kind to people. I will continue to treat people with respect and patience when I can. Sometimes I will misjudge somebody and be treated poorly in return. That's okay. I can take it. I'm tougher than I look. But if I'm kind to 10 people and 9 are actually receptive to my kindness, I'll have planted a seed of positivity in 9 people who may start to believe that people are not as bad as they originally thought and perhaps even pay it forward. This to me outweighs the consequences brought about by the one bad person who's burdened with the inability to trust and feels they have to manipulate and deceive to get ahead. Because our unconscious bias, towards the negative, the majority of what we are fed as news is of a dark nature in order to get readership or clicks. This leads us to believe most of what is going on in the world is ugly and entropic. The real fact is, the world is actually improving all the time. I recently read a great book entitled 10 Global Trends Every Smart Person Should Know, which is an examination of statistics from around the world on various human circumstances like crime, hunger, health, war, and in almost every category. The statisticians found that things are improving and have been for a long time. Our world is evolving, and that could be reworded as we are evolving because the world is people, right? I mean, perhaps we see the world negatively because bad things happen, which is actually not the norm, so we are upset by them, right? In the past, the world was a dangerous, lawless place, and life was always hard. People just accepted it, so there was a certain degree of desensitization to the nastiness. But now, in our safe, sterile, modern world, where we expect things to be peaceful and orderly all the time, when it's not, we start to think things are going really badly, right? So, the other thing we can do is be kind. Set an example. Show people who they can become. You can't change people, but you can inspire them. What is the world? It's people. People created and thought up everything. None of our society is natural. It is all conjured up in someone's mind and made into rules to serve those who benefit the most from it. People are the world. You are a people. Therefore, by changing, you change the world. At least a significant part of it. So, be strong. Be the person you wish everyone else was. Trustworthy, courageous, kind, respectful. In a sea of darkness, be a light unto the world. Have the courage to be kind when everyone else thinks that being nice is naive. Have the strength of character to do the right thing, even when no one will know. Fight for what is right. Be strong and bold for the right ideals. You don't have to change the world. You just have to change yourself. If you can be someone who you are proud of and who deserves to believe in something bigger than yourself, then you're making the changes in the world that you can. The emphasis is on the word can. In what can I do? It's easy to feel powerless in many situations. When things are going sideways, you have to take a look at your situation, forget about what is not in your control, and focus on what is. Ask yourself, what can I do? And then do it. Make positive actions come alive and shine light in the darkness. You can refuse to buy into the negative view of the world. You can refuse to accept that the world is going to hell in a handbasket and strive to make it the way you want it to be. If enough people believe that they can make a difference, then a huge difference can be made in the right direction. We can choose to be victims and believe the false perceptions that the world is a terrible place, or be heroes, bravely fighting for positive change and lifting up our fellow human beings. The best way to change the world is by changing yourself. You can do this in a myriad of ways. You can educate yourself. It's been said that the modern education system is meant to create good employees who will follow instructions. They want obedience and loyalty. I believe that the real purpose of education is to develop critical thinking skills. We must learn new things in order to frame the world through the correct lenses. Like money management and entrepreneurship's not taught in school because it would encourage people to think creatively and look for ways to add value to the world. This would create a lack of good minions to do the everyday tasks necessary to keep the wheels of industry turning. By reading books, taking courses, attending seminars, and engaging in real conversations with people you admire, you'll start to become the person you need to be to change the world. As you learn to see the world differently, new ideas and opportunities become apparent that you couldn't see before. You'll take in new information, you'll be able to put it into the right context, you'll be less susceptible to propaganda and able to identify con men when they come calling. I try to help by being kind. I write books and articles that are meant to give people the knowledge they need to escape the clutches of poverty and financial hardship. I try to be positive and encouraging in my work. And I send out positive intentions into the universe when I write, that someone somewhere will read what I've written, and it would be discovering that little missing nugget of information that they needed to set them on a new course, maybe even change their life. So, you can't help others unless you help yourself. Abraham Lincoln once said, "You can't help the poor by being one of them." It's true. Right? This goes to show that logically you must get your own act together before you're in any position to help others. So the first step to a better world is to make yourself better. For those of you who are Christians, even Jesus said the same thing. Tom Harper, in his great book, For Christ's Sake, makes the argument that the central theme of the Christian message is to love thy neighbor, but you must love yourself first. You can't give something you don't have. It makes sense to me. Just like those girls at Canadian Tire, they needed help. I had a van. I would not have been in a position to help if I didn't have a van. It's very simple. You can't give what you don't have. They didn't accept my help, but I was at least able to offer it. Same goes for any offering you present to the world. The world may or may not accept your gifts, but that is no reason not to present them. You must be the change you want to see in the world, as Gandhi suggested. So educate yourself and then educate others. Pass it on to your children. Change yourself, then change the world. Talk about new ideas. Support free speech. We can change the system one brick at a time. Learn, grow, and discuss.